Alright, to begin with, this episode had something that really caught my interest, and that was how they developed their characters. One of them is Dawn. Dawn's character, I really enjoyed the development they gave Dawn's character because, like, he was angry at all these all these three main characters, our main characters, Ray, Norman, and Emma. Like, he was angry at them, but at the same time he was angry at himself for being weak and not being able to help others. And it's an understandable state for him because he's still a child. He's not a grown up. He's not someone who's capable of taking all of the responsibilities. Even though he's one of the oldest members within the Gracefield home, I think so. That's what it's called. Uh, he's one of the oldest members there, one of the seniors there. He's still not capable of doing, like, keeping up with an adult like Isabel. So there is that situation where he basically thinks about himself as a weakling compared to all these people. And when he comes to know the truth about Coney and everything, about how she was killed and everything, like, and how Ray is a spy and everything, like, it completely changes his whole situation about how he needed protection from the other older members of the house, of this family, and about how he was compared to them. He couldn't even protect someone who was a little sister to him, who was like a world to him. So it's an understandable state for Don about how his character was developed, which I really appreciate for that. Like, really appreciate Don's character development throughout this episode. Sorry about that. But yeah, Don just in general is an amazing character. Just in general, he had an amazing character development throughout this episode, which I really can give a thumbs up to. So now that's out of the context. There's another thing in this episode that really caught my interest, and what was the Minerva thing about how Minerva. There's this person about whose name Minerva and everything, and he's basically William Minerva, if I have to put it correctly. So this person basically could be an ally to them or could be an enemy to them. And they are speaking about this guy being an ally to them and giving the context from outside world and everything. Yeah, they're speaking about it, but we cannot be sure. This series has shown us that we can't be sure about who's an enemy and who's a ally. Like, that's just it's all about mind games and everything. This series isn't like anything about just your normal typical shonen go to. It plays with your psychological order and everything. So that's what I think so is important to actually give this side of series a whole twist and everything. But I'm pretty sure this will be an ally because as they're talking about it, it does sound like this could be an ally in the future arcs of the series. But definitely, we'll we'll be keeping an eye out for William Minerva whenever he comes out to be in reality. Now, all that aside, let's also speak about the whole ending scene. This was a complete shocker for me. Now let's go to the end, and this whole scene was complete shocker for me because the next shipment is Ray, and that kind of gives me a little kind of surprise because Ray is going to turn 12, but Ray is trying to protect his friends just in general now because before when you saw him talk to Norman, he spoke about how he would get a little more time, but in general, in secret, Ray has been selling himself out, to be honest, and not Norman, and he has been keeping Norman and Emma away from the situation. If we see that situation was like, oh, that happened. But I'm pretty sure Ray will still survive in the end because he's one of the main characters of the series. So he's definitely gonna survive. That's one thing that could happen. Now the next thing is this whole thing where sister, I forgot her name, but the sister appears in front of these people is a completely different situation, and it's such an intensifying scene just in general, and it's such a weird scene to watch because the sister is already a mentally crazy person about how she just treats everything like a mentally ill person. So when she finally figures out these are the five ones and asks them to join the force, I'm like, oh, that's gonna happen. That's gonna happen. So yeah, not sure what's gonna happen in the next episode, but I'm pretty sure the mind games are gonna continue. Like in this episode, we're gonna see some of the mind games in the later episode. There was one thing in this episode which I didn't understand, and that was how the hell did Dawn and Gilda get out of that place? The only thing I know is that the Isabel had the key, so they did not show at any kind of scene where Dawn or Gilda are shown like getting out of Isabel's room. So I'm like, when the hell did they get out of the room? And I'm like, okay, like it was a complete different situation for me at that point. Anyways, that was the only thing that I found weird because they did not show that at all. So yeah. Anyways, let me know what you think about this episode of The Promised Neverland. Still a good episode, just in general, for what was too many mind games again in this episode too. Way too many. And also this episode had some amazing character development. But that's all for this episode. And I'll see you in the next video. As always, peace.